Our next reader, of course, is Jane Engstrom, our tremendous ally for this project, and she is going to tell us about Saturday Night in Lima, 1930s style. Jane Engstrom.
Back in the 1930s, Lima and Allen County were slowly working their way out of the Depression. The WPA was established and was the primary source of laborers for the Lima Stadium, which was being built at that time. Green and Sawyer was the contractor, and my dad was the foreman on the job. Duke's dad. Folks were cautious with what little money they had and would seek entertainment and recreation that didn't cost much, if anything. On Saturday mornings, kids would either walk into downtown or ride the streetcar to Main Street, where the Lyric, the Rialto, and the Sigma theaters were. Farther out on South Main was the Majestic. On Saturday mornings, these theaters would all vie for the young customers. For your admission price, you would get one good cowboy show, an episode from a serial to keep you coming back next week, a newsreel, and a cartoon. The main show might star Hopalong Cassidy, Tom Mix, Hoot Gibson, or various other cowboys. The singing cowboys, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, and Dale Evans, came along a little later. For the sum total of a quarter, you could buy car fare to and from the area, a movie admission, and a box of popcorn or a sugar daddy. Man, we were riding in high cotton. Later in the afternoon and towards evening, the adults would begin filtering in downtown. Some men had to work 6 days a week, which included Saturday, and they and their families would be the late arrivals. People would begin jockeying for prime parking spots up and down Main Street and in the square. The people watching was about to start. Saturday night in Lima was like a big block party before the term was born. People would sit in their cars with their windows down and greet acquaintances in the passing parade. The aroma of caramel corn from Dome's Nut Shop wafted over the whole downtown area, beckoning the customers to come out and stand in line. Over in the square, the Ark of Sweets soda fountain would be busy, as would be the soda fountain in the Woolworth's 5 and Dime store. The Equity Dairy sold a unique ice cream scoop that was a slender cone of ice cream set on a sugar cone base. My folks' favorite parking spot was either on North Main in front of Feldman's department store or down on East Hyde just below Walgreens. One of the things I remember about downtown Lima is the 2 public restrooms on the northwest corner of North Street and Main by the courthouse. These restrooms were, to my young mind, the nicest and cleanest public facilities I had ever seen. You entered the men's restroom off the sidewalk on North Street by a down staircase to a basement level. It had white porcelain tiling and polished fixtures, kept very tidy. I can't speak for the ladies' restroom, but I assume it was just as nice. Its entry was on Main Street, and it was subterranean also. Those restrooms were oases, and I don't recall any graffiti or other despoiling of the walls or fixtures. As usually happens with public facilities, these become misused over time, and the restrooms eventually were closed and the entrance cemented over in the late 30s or early 40s. People from all walks of life and all the sectors of our economy would come to town on Saturday night. My folks were each raised on a farm, and so they would see and greet many of their farm friends. The stores were all open, and business flourished. My folks did a great deal of their shopping at Wright's Market on the corner of High and Union, across from the Bar Hotel. When you entered, you could smell the dill pickle barrel and the barrel with the smoked herring or blind robin. Nearby were the cheeses, with the Limburger leading the aroma barrage. These groceries had no grocery carts to push, and to get items from your list, you would hail a clerk and start telling him what you wanted. You would tell him your first item, he would go get it. Then you'd tell him your second item, he'd go get it. It was a very inefficient method, but each housewife felt as if she were being personally served. If the list was too long, the clerks got smart and would ask for the woman's list, and then they would quickly gather everything and place it on the counter. Then they would add up the cost of the items on a brown paper sack. After you paid your bill, they would bag your groceries for you and make sure that you got that sack with the figures on it as your receipt. Then you would tote your purchase off to your car. I guess I was a typically observant youngster at 5 years of age. One night we saw a blind man with a white cane standing against a storefront on East High Street. Right here, I'm going to pass a picture on you've got to see. He was wearing a white cap and had a cup in his hand. He would sing softly, and occasionally a passerby would put a coin in his cup. He would thank them and deftly pour the coin into his other hand and pocket it. On a subsequent Saturday, my folks and I parked on East High Street. When my folks started heading for Wright's Market, I asked them if I could stay in the car, and Mom said yes. I had smuggled a tin cup into the back seat when we left home. This picture going around, you've just got to see it to see what he looked like at that time, innocent little kid. When I saw my folks disappear into Wright's, I got out of the car and pulled my ball cap down, backed up to a dark storefront, held out my cup, and began to sing. Every once in a while I would open one eye and look into the cup, but alas, no coins were there. So I might close my eyes and begin again. I guess I was singing Jesus Wants Me for a Sunbeam because I didn't know anything else at the age of 5. Well, that went on for a while when, whoosh, all of a sudden my feet left the sidewalk. The rear door to our car was open and I was summarily deposited therein. I heard my mom say brusquely, "Start the car, Emmett, let's go." I could hear my dad chuckling as he backed out of the parking place and off we went. I don't recall that I got back to go to Wright's with Mom for a long time. They must have missed me over there, though, because they closed that store and moved out onto Spencerville Road and became Wright's IGA food liner, complete with grocery carts as though to attract me back. And that, incidentally, was about the time when the whole downtown started to fold. Speaking of folding, we used to have a restaurant called Jack and Yoshi's and later Jack's Cafeteria, run by 2 immigrants from Japan. I don't recall exactly, but I think Jack and Yoshi's closed not too long after Pearl Harbor. Jack's Cafeteria, where I first tasted chop suey and chow mein, was across the street from the old High Street Market, which was a cosmos of its own. All in all, we had quite a nice downtown. We had Greg's Department Store, Feldman's Department Store, the Leader Store, Blem's Store, in addition to J.C. Penney's, Sears Roebuck, and Montgomery Ward's and Blattner's store. So, as I say, Saturday night in Lima was like a block party before there was such a thing, and I think Jesus still wants me for a sunbeam, even if I did make Mom angry.